these are spiritual systems and spiritual things that we do, not just because we're dealing with these invisible forces, not just with, forces that we call spiritual forces because they're invisible. We can't see them, we can't see them, but we can feel them. We can feel them, and we can rationalize them in our minds. Like, okay, if I put this, if I use this pumpkin and I put this pumpkin in the water, when this pumpkin finally gets a certain stage, it's going to develop into something. It's going to develop. It's going to be food for the fish or whatever it's going to be. But this pumpkin means something. It's going to take away something bad from me, and something
well,
new is going to come.
I think also, right. Okay, I see where you're going with this. It's like, for example, I like to tell stories, and stories that is in relationship to what the pumpkin. For example, you mentioned the pumpkin. Like in one story, talks with Obada, where Obada went hunting, and he was a great hunter. He believed that he can hunt anything, but he was tired for the night, and there were some strangers that came nearby, and they had all these calabashes, which we call pumpkin or calabashes, on these horses, but they were hungry. So he said, well, he didn't mind sharing his food. So by morning time, the people had left, and they left all these calabashes. So when he woke up, he saw them, and he started packing up because he got to go back hunting, because he had to go back to the village. So when he's saying to himself, well, what am I going to do with these pumpkins? What am I going to do with all these pumpkins? And when he was trying to load the pumpkins on top of his mountain, on top of his horse, one of the pumpkins hit the ground, bam. And when it opened up, all the seeds in the pumpkin turned to gold coins. They were money. There was jewelry, riches. So I try to tell people to get them to understand, when you go to take the pumpkin to the river, place the pumpkin down easy. Sit it by the tree on the ground. Put some honey there. Talk to Oshun. Add some more coins, because that is your money. In that pumpkin is your money. If you put it by the tree and it starts sprouting, it starts growing, that's your money growing. That's your wealth is growing. Good things are going to come to you. This is how good things begin. But if you go there and you just plump, whatever, you throw it like it's a piece of trash or something, that's how you feel about your money. And maybe that's the reason why your money, your money is kind of funny, along with probably what other things is going on in your life. People trying you, people pushing crap on you. But.
Okay, that is the therapy, that is the engagement that comes from the divination process. Because first you have to have the solution. You have to get to the core of the problem. That's where the divination comes from. Because people are not going to just go and say, okay, I'm putting this pumpkin in here. I don't even know why I'm doing it,
Well, that's why I think the diviner, whoever the diviner is, needs to have clarity on what the elbow is for, to explain that to the person, so the person just doesn't just going through the formalities. She told me to just drop you here. I don't know why I'm doing it, but I'm doing it. So they don't put no effort in it. They don't put no energy. Their spirit is not there, and they're just going along.
Well, that's like the guy that did the elbow with the squashes, and he put the squashes in the toilet afterward. I told him take it to a body of water, and he flushed them down the toilet.
Oh, wow.
Seriously.
Well, it was a body of water.
Yes, it was a body of water. And guess what? Guess what happened?
What happened?
He got what he wanted. No, he got what he wanted. He got the elbow worked, even though he flushed it down the toilet.
Wow.
And he told me he flushed it down the toilet. I'm like, oh, boy. But you see, the point is here, Odette,
I'm here. I wasn't sure if I was muted or not muted.
No, you're on. I'm sorry. I unmute you because I saw you put your hand up.
Okay.
Anyway,
I wanted to. I know that oh my God, that shocked me. That it's almost disrespectful.
No,
but,
don't be shocked. But this is the level of development that people need to get to in terms of the spirituality that Ayaba is talking about. That people need to really get in touch with the spirituality and see how it affects their mundane life. See how it affects this life.
The spirit don't accept things that are not given to them with respect correctly. But but I wanted to pose one question to you. I wanted to know, in your opinion, like what percentage do you feel is psychology, and what percentage you feel is like psychic or spirituality, or you know what I mean? Because a lot of it is psychology. Like the spiritual worker have to almost have a degree.
Yeah.
Well, can I answer first? It's okay.
Yes.
I think for me as a spiritual worker and a diviner and a chicken killer, whatever you want to call it. I think you have to have 50-50. You can't be 100% spiritual, or 100% intelligent. And I think that's what we see a lot when it comes down to the high prices and doing their bowls and stuff like that, is that people want to be 100% intelligent. So when they're 100% intelligent, your price is really huge. And when you got a person that's 100% spiritual, the people are walking around dumbfounded because they don't have a clue why they're doing it. So I think the persons that's doing it, I think the persons that's doing the divination needs to be 50-50, 50% spiritual and 50% intellectual, because they, when you're counseling somebody and you're telling somebody something, you can't assume that they understand what you're saying. So you have to have the intelligence to explain the spiritual aspect of what the Ebo is for and why. So the person, I think, needs themselves to be 50-50.
Exactly. Some spiritual workers act like that's a big secret. Even though you pay them and they don't want you to pose any questions, just do it something.
That's what I'm saying. But maybe they're intellectually, they can't put the intellectual to what they're doing.
Yeah, because then it becomes like a hocus pocus thing, and that's what we're trying to get people away from. Because I'm trying to tell people that you can engage and become spiritually developed. You can work and develop your spirituality where you can actually do a lot of stuff yourself. You understand?
Exactly.
You can do a lot of stuff yourself, and you can know a lot of stuff. You can learn a lot of stuff. You understand? But you got to.
But it's always important. It's always still important to always have some type of guidance. It's always in some, because if you get in trouble, you need to be able to call somebody to help you out.
That's where the engagement comes from.
Yeah, because even psychiatrists go to psychiatrists.
You better believe it.
But they need to match. They need to match the knowledge with the ritual. Just don't have people doing rituals without having any knowledge behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That too, because that is theirs.
Yeah.
If they're coming to you for a health reason or a psychological reason, they may have to use that again. They need to know why something.
You wouldn't believe, when I was apprenticing in Palo Mayombe with my tata for so many years, it seems, my apprenticeship didn't mean that I was just looking and taking notes. I myself was having divination done. I was having ebos to do ebos and rituals. And then, I was assisting with other people getting their ebos and rituals done I was assisting with making medicine and doing all this type of things, right? But I kept all my prescriptions because he used to write it down. He used to write down the prescriptions.
Your book of shadows.
Exactly what plants go with this ebo, what plant, what was prescribed. I have every single thing, every paper from so many years ago.
I do too. I do too.
And it's interesting because I go back at them and I'm like, okay. I like, I know what's up, because in my head, I'm like, my head is so full of stuff, that I like to crash dump stuff. I like to listen, unload that right now. So when it comes to like, for instance, how the Babalawos do it in Ifa, they memorize all of these hundreds of verses. I'm like, database, pop, you know what I mean? But things that comes, for real, it's like a manual. The things that come naturally for me to do, I don't have a problem doing things that come naturally for me to do. And or using my spiritual gifts, or people call them psychic gifts or whatever, using these different gifts that we have, because we have these too. A lot of people don't even know what gift they have. They haven't developed it, so they don't know what kind of gifts they have. I know I have like gifts, like for instance, I can smell a disease on somebody and actually smell it out of them in a ritual process. Okay? And that sounds like some kind of hoogoo, jugu, jugu stuff, but I know I have it. And I've done it.
Exactly. My mom says she can smell cancer on people. She can smell when they have cancer.
Yes, I'm telling you. Okay, so you see, I
have heard of that. I have heard of that.
But guess what? Yes. You can't go to the psychotherapist and tell them some stuff like that.
No,
you go to the psychotherapist and start to tell them that no, they're gonna diagnose you. They're gonna tell you, okay, you're schizoid, psychomanic depressive and whatever. They're gonna label you right away. You see? If you tell them you can do some stuff like that, they'd be like, what? So here now in the divination, wait, let me finish a point. Here now in the divination process, the divination will tell you, especially if it's a life Odu, will tell you, listen, you can't be around people that's sick because you will take unto yourself what they have. And if you don't know how to release it, don't know how to get rid of it, then you find that you see yourself winding up getting sick because you done took unto yourself something that belonged to somebody else. You took it off of them and you took it into yourself.
Well, that's why I suggest that people that's trying to learn how to divine,
it comes with development.
People that want to learn how to divine, they need to continue to have guidance. When they want to step into other arenas. It's good to have guidance to help them when they need to take that or be grounded in something. They need to be grounded in something.
Okay.
But I want to touch on something else that y'all talked about. Y'all talked about the Babalawos.
I have a caller.
Okay.
You go ahead and make your point.
Okay. You was talking about the Babalawos. Reading Ifa, I do a combination. Usually, my spirituality, my seer eye gets in after I do the opening prayer to throw the Apuele. Soon I see their money, I can read their money. I start reading their money and have not even thrown yet. And 9 out of 10, when I do wind up throwing, the Odu wind up coming confirming what was already said spiritually before I even did that. But I have found I have gotten readings from Babalawos, and that's all they do is recite. They haven't told me jack. I'd be like, I'm still waiting.
Well, okay.
They want to tell me what the Odu said